Won't happen. Until then, it will not change a thing. That's hard to hear. It's not good to hear. I'm not pleased to say it. But if we don't get this right, we will never break these bonds of slavery. Again, the Most High in Egypt stopped us from invoking his name. So then we went to Yahweh, we went to Baal, we went to Asherah. You wonder why we called on Yahweh? You wonder why we call on Baal and Asherah? Why we call on these other names besides Shaddai or Ahiah, which is written in his book? Is because here it says he stopped us from being able to invoke the name. And then through slavery after slavery, into nation after nation, we have forgotten. Let's go to Judges chapter 3. Judges chapter 3, verse 7. I don't want us to be confused on how we got here. I want us to understand this so that we can claim our power, so that we can no longer be slaves to this. So we go to Judges chapter 3, verse 7, and it reads, the Israelites did what was offensive to the Most High. The Yasharites, us, did what was offensive to the Most High. They ignored the Most High Shaddai and worshiped the Balaam and the Asherah. In Judges chapter 3, this is right after Joshua. This is in between Deborah. We had 3 judges, and every time a judge died, we went back to following the Egyptian gods. We had Manasseh, we had Ahab, we had all these kings that came in that worshiped these other gods, and not to mention Solomon. This is our people. Sometimes we act like we don't deserve what the Most High has done. Sometimes we act as though the punishment, 400 years or whatever, 1,000 years or whatever, in this captivity right here, that we didn't earn it. We are earning it every day when we call upon their gods. We are earning this captivity. We're earning the title of black. We're earning all this oppression because we refuse to claim our nation, our culture, and our laws. The Most High said that we offended him by choosing to call upon these other gods. So it is said in Jeremiah 44, he stopped us from being able to invoke his name. You see how important it is why I say Shaddai so much, why I say Ahiah? Because I'm trying to invoke his name. Until the Most High tells me different, that's what he's told me to call him. I have searched, I have looked, not just in the scriptures, but I've looked through historical books, I've looked through historical references, I've gone through linguistics, all to find the earliest reference to the Creator. And Shaddai is the earliest, Ahiah is the next. They had Allah, which was A-L-H, right? Not Allah. That was written in Lakesh, in the stones. So we got 3 authenticated names that the Most High was called before we got into Egypt, before we was into slavery. And he said we no longer invoke his name. We have to claim our nation. It is not Israel with an I. It's with a Y, Yasharallah. When you look up in the Bible Hub dictionary and you look up Israel, go to the phonics and the pronunciation. They're going to tell you origin and they're going to spell out Yasharallah. This is their Bible dictionary. Even though they're saying it's Israel, they're saying that originally it was pronounced Yasharala. Do your research. Chapter 3, verse 7. The Yasharites settled. Let's go to verse 5. The Yasharites settled among the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. They took their daughters to wife and gave their own daughters to their sons, and they worshiped their gods. Verse 7. The Yasharites did what was offensive to Shaddai. They ignored the Most High, their creator, and worshiped Balaam and Asherah. Clearly laying out where the separation happened between us. And if that's where the separation is, then there's only one way to come back. If it's separated because we chose other wives, because we chose the gods of the women that we married, we allowed them to bring their gods into our homes. Then we know how to get back. I didn't get to see all of it. I suggest you watch it. Kareemio Ahayu has done yet another outstanding video. He does so many. This one he went into the, this is last one with the records. And he went to a 1690 book, and we're in between 1650 and 1690, right? Because he was reading about the merchants, the sailors from the 1500s to the 1800s. He was reading a historical book about how us as the Hebrews, not from the Bible, not from the Old Testament, but our how we merchandised and lived and sold through maritime from the 15 to the 1800s, because we couldn't be on land because they was enslaving us. So many of us took to the ships and the waters, which made us pirates. Those are facts. The pirates of the Caribbean were Hebrews. So he has a book that was referencing 1690, between 1650 and 1690. Remember, the book was chronicling us from the 1500s to the 1800s. And in 1690, they said that we had fled from Britain, from France, because of the persecution, and we had went to Amsterdam, Switzerland, my G. And that in 1690, they have recording of 30 to 50,000 black, but you know, we're not using the word black. They had swarty, as they say, all right, or copper colored, or as they say, melanated. 30 to 50,000 melanated original Jews worshiping in the synagogue. On two different reports, two different historians noted this in the 1600s. So what I'm telling you guys tonight, slavery wasn't that long ago. So that meant that your glory and your connection to the Most High wasn't that far ago. Chocolate. Yeah, cuz chocolate. The chocolate colored people. Now I'm talking about, I see Brother Adon has made it in the building. So in 1690, they have records by Caucasians that there were 30 to 50,000 melanated Jews worshiping in the synagogue in Amsterdam. It's 2025, 24. 400 years of slavery they have in the scripture, supposedly by their accord, started in 1619. But that's also a lie, because in 1619, the slaves that were brought here were from here. The slave that they brought to Virginia was from here. They weren't from Africa. They weren't. Just do your research and understand that the Spanish had a thing called the Reconquista, where they were enslaving people from the Americas from the early, not just 1500s, but before 1492. Early, all right? And they were shipping slaves to Africa in their slave trade. And they were putting them in penal colonies, which were breeding colonies, that they then came back and got them during the transatlantic slave trade by the British, because the British brought those slaves from the Spanish. The Spanish got all their slaves from here. Except for the Hebrews that were in Portugal, Iberian Peninsula, when they kicked us out, and they said that anyone that had not left by midnight were now slaves. So we're talking 400 and some odd years that we've been in this particular slavery, that we've taken on this culture and these gods. That's not too far for us to go back. That's not too far gone for us to come back unto the Most High. Who we are is written in history. They just don't teach it to you. Claiming who you are is the only way that you're going to get salvation. You can't have one foot in this world and the other in the Most High and think that that is going to work. Again, from Egypt, we made it with the Canaanites, gave them our daughters, our sons married their daughters. We worshiped their gods. The Most High stopped us from being able to invoke his name, to profane his name anymore. Let's go to Deuteronomy. But no, I'm going to finish because I'm going to 11. So verse 8, the Most High became incensed at Yasharallah and surrendered them to King Kusha Indians from the Hindus. His spell is Kushan Rush Taham, to what we call Hindustan today, with all of the multiple gods. The Most High said he was incensed and surrendered us, because remember, we was in that's Iraq, that's right there by India, Hindustan. He gave us to those kings. That's why they have the Naguib there, right? That's why you have a remnant of us there. That's why they have the caste system, and the light-skinned Indians treat the dark-skinned Indians the same way they do white and black here in America. It's called the caste system. He says, of Aram Nahariham, right? So that's all that Iran, Iraq, India, Hindustan, all that little area. He says, and the Yasharites were subject to Kushan Rashtahaman for 8 years. The Yasharites cried out to the Most High, and the Most High raised a champion for the Yasharites to deliver them. Othniel and Kenazet, Othniel, like OJ, right? Othniel, but this is Othniel, the Kenizzite. So Othniel the Kenizzite, a younger kinsman of Caleb. Remember what Caleb did, right? Verse 10, the Spirit of the Most High descended upon him, and he became Yasharallah's chieftain. He went out to war, and the Most High delivered King Cush Rashatam Aram into the hands. He prevailed over Kushan Rashtaham, and the land had peace for 40 years. What is a generation? That's the question today. How long is a generation? 40 years. A generation is calculated by 40 years. So when one generation gets it, the next generation comes back and fumbles it. Here it says for 40 years, for one generation. we had peace in the land. And then the kids came along, the next generation, and did not care, did not remember the Most High. So therefore, they go back into slavery. Y'all see the pattern? We forget, we awake, we call upon him, he assigns us a chieftain, we go to war in the name of righteousness, we win, and it lasts for as long as that generation that woke up. It seems as though that Yasharallah has a hard time teaching the youth. It seems as though Yasharallah has a hard time passing down what it needs to. That's why the Most High said that we are supposed to teach our youth at an early age so they will remember when they get older. But we don't want to be hard on our youth. We don't want to force them to understand it. We need to change that concept and figure out a way to make it palatable for our children. We need, as adults, come up with good ways to make it interesting for our children. Because if you're giving it to them hard like that, then is that how you got it? That's not how I'm giving it to y'all. That's not how the Most High spoke to you when he woke you up. So when you give it to your children, don't give it to them like it's discipline and you better give it to them with love, because the Most High loves you. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 11. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 11, and it reads, "Take care lest you forget." Take care, Alana, lest you forget the Most High Shaddai and fail to keep his commandments. That is why he instructed us in Numbers to wear fringes with the blue ribbon. The blue ribbon is to remind you of the 10 commandments, the sapphire tablets in which Moshe had the 10 commandments written on. So the Most High says, lest you forget. So if you're not calling upon Shaddai, you're not calling upon a higher, your creator, if you're not searching to find out if those are his original names, which they are, if you're not going to Paleo Hebrew, not Yiddish, not this new age that they have with all the marks in it, not that. When you go back to Paleo Hebrew, when you go back and look at the archaeological and historical records of what the Hebrew people called their creator, it was Shaddai, and then Ahia. But if you forget that, and you start calling upon these other gods, and you start following their culture, you start following their laws, then you forget that they're directly against the laws of the Most High, directly against the culture of the Hebrews. Example, our culture and the law is no pork. That's not a get around. That's not a in between. That's an abomination. That's our culture. But if you, and I gotta take this quick side note. My sister sent me this video of this Sabbath of a Hebrew, and this Hebrew was trying to prove Jesus through the Old Testament. And what he was trying to do was go through the transliterary of Yeshua to Jesus. Well, first of all, there was no Yeshua. That means Joshua. Okay, first of all, Yeshua translated is not Jesus, it is Joshua. That's the first erroneous thing that the brother started on. Second thing was that he expressed that Jesus meant pig. Jesus meant pig. I'm telling you that the entire culture of Christianity is centered around pig. It is their culture. It is not our culture. On Easter, they have a ham. This is supposed to be at the same time that we are having our Passover celebration, where the Most High told to put over the doorpost blood, and the angel of death passed over our homes and killed everyone in Egypt so that we would be free. They have changed that over to their Jesus being the sacrifice of being that lamb, and that they eat a pig on that day, not a lamb. You would think if it's a sacrificial lamb that the meal for Easter would be lamb. It is not. It is a ham. It is a cultural difference. It is a law difference. It is a name difference. I don't care how much they try to convince you that Christianity is the same thing as Hebrew. I don't care how much they try to convince you that the two can exist together. It is a lie. The Most High says, least you forget. It says, take care, least you forget Shaddai, your creator, and fail to keep his commandments, his rules, and his laws, which I enjoin upon you today. So that's how you have a nation, because a nation has to have laws. You're not a nation without a law. You're not a nation without a leadership, a chieftain. And the Most High said that when we call, and Judges, when we call upon him, he gives us one. Was the Kizanite of the 12 tribes? Is there one of the tribes named Kenzie? No. But we were mixed in with so many others. He's known as a Kizanite because that's the town he was in. But his blood was Hebrew. So Othniel, that the Most High raised up to be the chieftain, to be the leader, to take us to war. You think that these oppressors are going to let you go without a war? Without standing up? You're already going through strife. You're already going through problems, trials, and tribulations. Why not have trials and tribulations to claim your nation? Why have trials and tribulations to try amalgamate to a nation that will never love you? If you're going to go through trials and tribulations, regardless, you might as well do it for your nation and not to be a second-class citizen to another nation. Let's go to Psalm 78. Psalm 78. No, we're going to go to Judges first. Judges 8. Let me go to Judges chapter 8. Judges chapter 8, verse 34. Judges chapter 8, verse 34, and it reads, the Yasharites gave no thought to the Most High Shaddai, who saved them from all the enemies around them, nor did they show loyalty to the house of Jerubbaal, Gideon, in return. So Gideon was the one that got the victory for us, and they didn't respect Gideon in return for all the good that he had done for Yasharallah. That's how the Most High feels about us right now. He's given us grace and mercy and covering us inside of this captivity as we speak. Things could be worse. Trust me. In 1391, when we were in Portugal, they rounded up all of the Hebrews and they massacred them in 1391. In 1492, they rounded all of us up and said that if we didn't flee by midnight, we would be slaves. The Iberian Peninsula king, Alfonso, lied and said that he would provide ships for the Hebrews to go, and said everyone to meet at the port. And at midnight, there was no ship, but the authorities took them in as slaves. When I say things could be worse, that's why we have history to understand how we got here. I know a lot of you don't care about it could be worse because you like what you got. You like being able to grab your bottle on Friday night. You like to be able to go and hit the clubs. You like being able to do as thy wilt. Well, understand what comes with do as thy wilt in this nation. You are a second-class citizen, and you will never be respected. And that you are participating in wicked practices that the Most High is going to destroy. Just know that part. The Most High says here in Judges 8, that when you go up to verse 33, after Gideon died, the Yasharites again went astray after Balaam. So we had Gideon as a judge, you had Zerubbabel, you had Deborah as judges. And every time when they died, we went back to worshiping these other gods the same way we do today. The Most High is not confused when he sees us down here worshiping Jesus and Muhammad and Allah and Buddha and whatever, Oshun, all of these different deities, Shango. Most High is not confused at us. We are the only ones that are confused. Let's go to Psalm 78 now, verse 11. Psalm 78, verse 11. And it reads, they forgot his deeds and the wonders that he showed them. He performed marvels in their sight of their fathers in the land of Egypt, the plain of Zoan. Verse 13. He split the sea and took them through it. He made the water stand like a wall. He led them with a cloud by day and throughout the night by light of fire. He split rocks in the wilderness and gave them drink as it from the great deep. He brought forth streams from a rock and made them flow down like a river. But they went on sinning against him, defying the Most High in the parched land. When are we going to stop claiming these other nations, claiming these other people, thinking that it's better on the other side? Let's go to Psalms 83. See, I'm going to tell you once and for all who these other people are. Psalms 83, verse 1. A psalm of Asaph. O Shaddai, do not be silent. Do not hold aloof. Do not be quiet, O Shaddai. For your enemies rage. Your foes assert themselves. They plot craftily against your people. Take counsel against your treasured ones. They say, let us wipe them off. Let us wipe them out as a nation. Israel's name will be mentioned no more. And Yasharalah's name isn't mentioned unless it's of the remnant. They say Israel. They even replaced it here in this book. The original name wasn't that. I told you, look it up. Verse 6, unanimous is their counsel. They have made an alliance against you, the clans of Edom and the Ishmaelites. That's your modern day Arabs, and that's your modern day Christians. The Vatican, the Germanic, mixed in with your Bouvier, your blacks. Moab and the Haggites, that's your Moors and your all the one from Morocco and Gabal, Ammon, Amalek, Philistia, Philistine, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assyria too, Turkey, joins forces with them. They give support to the sons of Lot. So the sons of Lot were the Moors, Islam. We must understand that the Ishmaelites and the Moabites created Islam. So when it says here that these other nations supported Islam in oppressing us and subduing us and making sure that we would no longer be known. Remember, Muhammad went to war on 3 different Hebrew tribes because they would not accept him as a prophet, because the Most High said Malachi was the last one. So Jesus wasn't one, Muhammad wasn't one. And those 2 factions waged war on Yasharallah. I'm going to say it again. Those 2 factions of Edom, Ishmaelites, and Moab, because Ishmaelites and Moab are together as Islam. Islam and Christianity came together to destroy Us as Hebrews take our name off the map, give it to their cousins, the Ashkenazis, and rename it Israel. Deal with them as you did with Midian, with Sisera and Jablin at the brook, and Jabin at the brook of Kishon. Remember, we just read about the brook of Kishon in our last show when the Most High, when they went down to the waters and prayed for the Most High to come, and the Most High brought the rain waters down Kishon and flooded out all of their enemies. So they're referencing that here, saying this is what we need you to do to these people, not us come up as an army, but Most High, we need you to bring about your judgment on these nations because they're confederate against us and we cannot win. We cannot raise an army against them. We couldn't raise an army against Sisera and Jabin and the Midians, but you took care of that for us as well. So when we start talking about claiming your culture, claiming the Most High's law, claiming the Most High's name as Shaddai, I see Black Bear in the building, and no longer claiming these gods of these nations, these gods of these demonic people. That's why our people all continue to be in the oppression that we are, because we're claiming their gods. We're claiming their nation. And until you call upon the Most High, until you call upon this nation, until you stand on this, until you know his law, until you follow his commandments, and you ain't part of this nation, you just got lip service. And the Most High knows your heart. He can care less about your mouth. Your mouth can only destroy you or gain you. Who you are, the Most High knows in your heart. Let's go to Exodus 21. Because people don't, we have been given this ignorance by people when we talk about us not being slaves, and they say, well, Judah had slaves, Yasharallah had slaves. The Most High talks about slavery in the Bible. The Bible is a slave book. Look, man, y'all need to understand that you have been lied to on every aspect that you've been taught. Again, you have been lied to on every aspect that you have been taught in this nation that you are oppressed in. Everybody on Instagram, Ski Weed Brother, I hope y'all check me out on YouTube. I got the picture up. It is Hebrew State of Being as well as it is on Instagram, on YouTube. Hope to see you guys there. Shalom. So in this Exodus 21, we're going to talk about how we deal with servants. Because as they took the Most High's name out and put Lord and God and all these things in there, so they put slavery in place where it should have been servant. The same way that they said the Most High was jealous when it should have been impassioned. Jealous and impassioned is two different things. Slave and servant is two different things. You are a servant today if you are getting a paycheck. I want you to understand that. And if you get a paycheck bi-weekly or every week, bi-monthly or every week, you are a servant. A servant gets paid for his services. You are providing services, so therefore you are a servant. That is what the Most High intended for us to have, servants, not slaves. And surely not the chattel slavery that the British, the Caucasians brought in. Totally different concept and meaning. We go to Exodus chapter 21, verse 10. It says, if he marries another, he must not withhold from this one her food, her clothing, or her congenial rights. If he fails her in these three ways, she shall go free without payment. He who faithfully strikes a man shall be put to death. If he did not do it by design, but it came about by an act of the Most High. I will assign you a place to which he can flee. When a man schemes against another and kills him treacherously, you shall take him from my very altar and put him to death. He who strikes his father or his mother shall be put to death. He who kidnaps a man, whether he has sold him or is holding him, shall be put to death. This is slavery. He who insults his father or his mother shall be put to death. Men who quarrel and one strikes the other with stone or fist, he does not die, but has to take his blood. If he then gets up and walks outdoors upon his staff, the assistant shall go unpunished, except that he must pay for his idleness and his cure. So in Exodus 21, verse 10 through 19 is explaining our relationship and our culture. One, Christianity tells you one wife, no divorce. Our scripture just laid out, as I'll read again, her as a practice with free maidens. Wait, I'll go 9. And if he designated her for his son, he shall deal with her as the practice with free maidens. If he marries another, he must not withhold from this one her food. So it's saying that if he married another woman, and even though she may be as of a slave, right? So this whole verse is about slavery, all right, how to deal with your servants, not slaves. And it's saying even if you marry one of your servants, she is the same as your wife of Yehuda. Oh, you ain't never heard that before, right? Christianity tells you one wife and tells you no divorce, and that the woman can't divorce. It's all bad on the woman. Here it tells you not only do you have multiple wives in our culture, if you can afford her, because as it says, a servant that becomes your wife gets the same treatment as your normal wife, and that you must provide for her, not withhold from her food, clothing, congenial sex. And if he fails in sex, food, or housing, right, clothing, then she's able to leave. If he can't provide for her in her own place, not in with his other wives, in her own place, then she can leave. She can give him a decree of divorce, right? Then it goes into your servant. If you strike a man and put him to death, and it was not by design, and it came by the Most High, said, if he did not do it by his design, if you killed someone and it was not by your design, meaning you didn't plan it, you didn't do it, it's a situation, things aroused, and that person was killed, the Most High said, I will I will assign a place for that man to flee. But if he does it with malice, then he's removed from the altar and killed immediately. So if he's beating his servant and he killing his servant, he's going to be put to death. If the servant, and it happens by argument, major thing, whatever kerfuffle happens, and somebody is dead, then that person has to flee. He can no longer be in the town with everyone. If he's a murderous, evil intent person, then he's to be killed immediately. This is our culture. This is our law. This is how we deal with servants, not slaves. They tell you that we had slaves, we had servants, and it's the same as you getting paid today. If you are on a job and you and the person are working on a house and you fall and die, you as servant, he has to do for you, the family. If you and that servant get into an argument and fight and you kill that servant over, y'all get mad over the house y'all trying to build, whatever it may be, you must leave. leave the house, leave the town. Everything's about righteousness with us. And even if you have a servant, you're not above that. That's not what Christianity gave us. Christianity gave us chattel slavery. Christianity gave us Jim Crow laws. Christianity gave us the present day laws that we have right now. The Christianity says, notice there's no such thing as mixing. You are black. You are a slave. You are forever to be this way. Here in our scripture, a servant can become the husband or wife of the master and be treated just as the tribe. We really have to read for ourselves to know how much this society has lied, has just totally manipulated everything that the Most High has said for us and how to live. That's why the Most High cannot save us, give us salvation, if we're still calling upon this nation and following this nation's laws, following this nation's ideology, and following this nation's idols. Let's go to Leviticus 25. Let me go to 26 of the same 21, right? And it says, when a man strikes the eye of his slave, male or female, which should be servant, and destroys it, he shall let him go free on account of his eye. So when we had this transatlantic slave trade here with all these good Christians, how many times did they hurt, maim, cut, and not let go and not let free? In the Congo, the Dutch, Leopold, who was the cousin of the Pope, they cut off all the hands of the people because they didn't cut the rubber trees fast enough. They had a whole mound of it. They got pictures. It's historical. They didn't let them go. They kept them in slavery. So Christianity can't possibly be following this. And what Christianity did in slavery can't possibly be the same thing that the Most High ordained for us to have as servants. It says here in verse 26 of Exodus chapter 21, when a man strikes the eye of his slave or servant or female, male or female, and destroys it, he shall let him go free on account of his eye. If he knocks out the tooth of his slave, male or female, he shall let him go free on account of his tooth. Not even an eye, just a tooth. The Most High was, when we had servants, we were supposed to treat them as human beings, as freaking human beings. But you got these people that gave you a fucking God that you want to follow, that have no humanity, that treated your people, your ancestors, like they were animals, that did not follow this, that said they were coming in the name of this, but they changed everything about it, and now making you think that they were telling you the truth, that this was a book of slavery, that this is a book of the white man. And yet you still carving that pork, you still eating that pork chop, and you want to claim that this book is the thing that is wrong. The book is wrong, right? But you can slap up that pork, you can put a pineapple on that, eat it up, and serve it to your family as an abomination. And you can say that you're doing the right thing, that you're a good person, that things should be nice for you, that you don't understand why all these bad things happen to you and your family. You follow the same people that does not follow the Most High, that hates the Most High, that went against all of his laws. Even the law that the Most High bound you to, that still binds you to that. They go totally against it. They could care less. And they lie to you every day, and you suck it up and eat it every day. So the title of this lesson is, oh, how Judah has forgotten we are not slaves. We are not slaves. Oh no. We are not claiming our nation. We are allowing ourselves to be subject to the laws of this nation instead of following the laws of our nation. We don't follow our culture, we follow their culture. And then we take their culture and make it something great. And then they monetize that culture, and then they tell the world about it because they sell our culture to the world, and now the world is looking at us on TV, be fucking entertain us, selling the product of this nation as good little monkeys. And you think that the world is looking at you, and you think that the world envies you. You's an entertainer, just like Malcolm X told you. And what other community does the leaders of that community are entertainers? Basketball players and football players, poets and whatnot. Do you know that Langston Hughes was a faggot? Did you know that Zerston Hurston, that wrote all the books about black people and all of this, studied under Walter Plecker and the most racist people at Chicago University? Did you know that they only let her write that stuff because it worked in their ultimate plan? But you don't do no research. You don't look at no history. You just listen to what your oppressor told you and you run with it and say that this book is a bunch of lies. It's a slave doctrine. It's the white man wrote it. You don't even know that your black leaders that they gave you in the 60s were part of the same people that you say, the Catholics, they ordained them. They said that they were okay. They were the accepted niggas because they had gone through their training, their indoctrination. W.E.B. Du Bois told you not to own the land that you had already owned when they came. He told you, now go get an education, go pay the white man for an education and get you that, and then you could be like them. When Booker T. Washington, who changed agriculture across the world, told y'all to continue to have the land, to farm the land, but you wanted to be high and potent niggas. You wanted to have zoot suits on. You didn't want to work the land and own the land. So they gave you W.E.B. Du Bois, who wasn't even from here, who was raised by the British. You should not be confused on why we have forgotten. You should be asking, how do I get back? You should not question, how did we forget? I laid it out through scripture. I laid it out through history. The Most High in Egypt said we couldn't even invoke his name anymore because we were so wicked. Then we decided to rock with the Canaanites. And then when we did call upon the Most High, we only did it as long as that judge lived. Then we ran right back to Balaam, Asherah, Allah, Jesus. We just keep on running back to their gods. Let's go to Leviticus 25. Buddha, Rosh Hashanah, whatever the hell name y'all want to call on. Leviticus 25, verse 44. Such male and female slaves as you may have, it is from the nations around about you that you may acquire male and female slaves. You may also buy them from among the children of alien residents among you, or from their families that are among you, whom they begot in your land. So the Most High is saying that you can acquire a servant, not a slave, a servant of the people that's in your land that follow your laws. That's why you can marry one of those servants, because those servants in our nation follow the laws of the Most High all the way down to the Sabbath. The Most High says anyone that's in your gates of your town must follow the Sabbath, the stranger or the neighbor. That's why we could marry a servant. And if you hurt that servant, bust a tooth, they was free because you didn't know how to be responsible enough to have a servant. Most High says we ought to get those from everyone outside and to treat them like us, and they must follow our laws. Also, after 7 years, they go free, regardless. If the debt isn't paid in 7 years, in the 7th year, that the master gives that slave whatever is owed to him, clothing, whatever, the servant, and sends him on his way. Not 400 years. Not 400 years. Ain't nothing this society has told you is real or how it's supposed to be. Ain't none of it. Let's go to Genesis, our last verse for the night. Genesis 49. In case you may think you've eaten too much pork, had too many threesomes, smoked too much crack to be able to come back to the Most High, this is for you. If you think that you're too indoctrinated and love this world too much, let me just say, see David's in the building. Let me give you this Genesis 49, because the Most High is destroying this place, these nations. This daughter of Babylon is falling. So in 49, verse 8, it reads, "You, O Yehuda, your brothers shall praise. Your hand shall be on the neck of your foes. Your father's sons shall bow low to you. O Yehuda is a lion's whelp on prey. My son, have you grown? Have you grown? He crouches, lies down like a lion." So this parable, this analogy is something that we need to understand right now. You have to grow into this lion of Yehuda, this lion of Judah, that's following law, statutes, and commandments, that's circumcising your heart, that's following his feast days. He's saying, have you grown? Have you grown in the Most High? Have you grown in your scripture? He says, "Oh, Yehuda is a lion's whelp." That's a roar, right? On prey. So we are that roar. We are that sound in the jungle that makes everyone fear. He says, "My son, have you grown?" He crouches, subdued, lies down like a lion, like the king of beasts. Who dare rouse him? Verse 10, "The scepter shall not depart from Yehuda." The scepter is the signal. It is the signal of rulership. When you see kings on their throne and they have the staff or the scepter in their hand with the jewels on it, the person that holds that is king. The Most High is saying that that scepter that he gave us, that supernatural scepter, is never going to leave our hands. He said, "Nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, so that tribute shall come to him and the homage of people be his." So let me tell you, when you claim this life, when you claim this way of being, they're going to naysay in the beginning. That's that water and that's that fire. But as the Most High says, that I'm not going to let the water overcome you or weigh you. I'm not going to let the fire burn you. After they finish with their naysaying and they see that you are sturdy as an oak, that you are planted, they then, as it says here, they pay homage to you. They have questions. They want to know. See, we are cynical in this nation because we all know it's all lies. I don't know about you. I get scams on my phone all the time. I get scams from the U.S. Post Office. You know what I'm talking about? So we are all leery of everything. We all are apprehensive about believing anything, unless our mom and daddy told us. And if our mom and daddy got forced into believing something for 3 generations, in this 4th generation, what if generations is 40 years, 3 times 4 is what, 12? That's 120 years. Now you're 120 years later in your generation, you believe whatever is being told to you. The scepter is yours. Claiming the Most High, coming back into the Most High, they will pay homage to you because they want to know. Everybody wants to know the truth. If anybody had to choose, they would choose the truth over a lie. They just been lied to so much that they don't believe there is truth. Understand? That's why you have to do this. You have to participate. You have to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments to know that the grace and mercy and covering, the salvation of the Most High is real. Not Israel, but is real to us as Yasharala, as his seed, as his chosen ones. Not that we are better than anyone else, not by far. It's amazing to me the idiocy of people that say, I don't like a religion that claims a chosen people. You don't even know what the chosen mean. And the so-called chosen people are in oppression right now. So how glorious is this moniker or this title of being chosen? Chosen means that we have a duty to speak the law, to administer the law, to be an example of the law, to be the watchmen and watchwomen of our generation. That's our chosenness. That's our yoke to bear. Anyone that tells you that they don't believe in the scripture because they don't believe in chosen people, know that person hasn't read and has no idea what they're talking about. I'm here for the ones that want to take up the mantle. I'm here for the ones that want to grab that scepter. I'm here for the ones that want to have that true lion's whelp. I'm here for the ones that want understanding so that they can make an informed decision on their creator. All praise unto the Most High. I pray this word has lifted you up, resonated with you. We'll be back on Wednesday night. The Most High says the same, and with cultural appropriation. All praise unto the Most High. Yehuda, awake, awake, Yehuda. All praise unto the Most High. Shaddai. Shalom. Misha.